I never wanted to go into coding. Most of the times my resume was not forwarded because I had a year gap. For 𝗏𝗍 as well, I applied through not any referrals, not on LinkedIn, not on Naukri. I applied it through there. One of the 3 technical rounds, there was a case interview.
Have you ever imagined if you have some kind of career gap in your profile, maybe 6 months, 1 year, more than a year, 2 years, then how companies are going to treat you in the interviews, whether they are going to shortlist your profile or not, what kind of challenges you are going to face, and the most important question would be whether you will be getting the interview calls or not. And exactly the similar situation happened with our guest speaker, and the continuous efforts never go in waste, and she will be sharing all her experience today because after some career gap, she also restarted her career as a data engineer and recently cracked 𝗏𝗍. So she will be giving all her experience here, that what sort of challenges she faced, how she convinced the interviewers, recruiters about her career gap, how she dealt with it, how and what kind of skill set she acquired after the career gap to prepare the solid portfolio, the interview process of 𝗏𝗍, and many other important things which you should know if you are also going through with the similar situation of career gap. So you must listen this podcast till the very end and like it in the big numbers to spread the awareness. Also let me know in the comment section if you are also having some kind of career gap in your profile. A very quick announcement for all the aspiring data scientists and the data analysts. So in the last 2 weeks we have launched and started the live classroom bootcamp for the data science and the Power BI crash course as well. So if you have missed those opportunity, you could not become the part of this bootcamp, then still you have the chance. I have provided the link for the same in the description, or you can visit www.growdataskills.com to become the part of these bootcamps, where we will be teaching the data science part from the basic to advanced, and similarly for the Power BI as well in a separate bootcamp. So even if you don't have any prior experience, then don't worry, no prerequisite are required. We will be taking everything from basic to advanced with practical projects, industry level projects in the live classroom environment, and the best mentors working at top companies will be teaching you. Proper placement assistance will be there for you so that you are interview ready and the job ready at the same time. Within our affordable and industry project oriented bootcamps, we keep on solving the doubts of the students in the live session plus in the private Discord community. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and be a part of these bootcamps. I'm really happy to have you here first of all, and really excited to discuss more about your journey in the data engineering. So it would be really good if you can give a short introduction about yourself to my audience, anything about your education, past background, and whatever you are doing currently.
Hi Shashank, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me here. So yes, I always I had a very kind of small dream, but to be in your podcast one day, and I am glad that it happened. I am Jumana 𝗏𝗏. I come from Ujjain, MP. I have done my graduation in Bachelor of Engineering Mechanical in 2020, and since then, starting 2020, I have worked with Cognizant as a data engineer. And now I am working with 𝗏𝗍 as a data engineer.
So Jumana, as you mentioned, you graduated from mechanical engineering stream. So after that, how did you get your first job, and what was there actually for you? What was your first salary? So just share your experience about that one, because first job is special for everyone.
So at the first place, I never wanted to go. I had been campus selected at Cognizant in the last 2019 only. So, but I did not want to go there because I belong to the mechanical core field, like mechanical engineering. So I was reluctant to go into, because I had a plan of doing supply chain management or industrial management. So, but I was not getting the scores right to get into those kind of fields. So for the time's sake, I joined Cognizant. And it was actually a campus placement. I just went for the interviews and got selected. And while with Cognizant, it was again as service-based companies. Still these days, it offers it started with 4LP. I have started.
How did you find your interest in the data engineering? Because recently you have cracked a DE role at 𝗏𝗍. So did you already explore this field during your college time, or just randomly it happened at Cognizant and by luck you got such type of projects or teams who are working on data engineering? So how your journey started in the data engineering itself?
I never wanted to go into coding, and so So with Cognizant, I was placed into a Azure data engineering cohort and was trained on it. So while being trained on SQL, Python, such things, I was like, why they are training me on these things, and like what sense does it make to my life? Because I never wanted to go into coding, and I used to walk away from coding. And these days, actually, from core fields, people also do coding. The language they learn, any Pythons, these kind of languages, people are starting learning. But I had no interest in them. I hadn't went through, so I always refrained from anything computer science related. Never wanted to go into it. But while working with Cognizant, with time, as I was engaged in a client project, I realized that it's like data is the thing, and I felt myself very comfortable digging deep into the data and how we are transforming data, how we are taking data from one place to another, and like how it is making sense to the business, and how the business are bringing bringing business for them, for the clients. So with actually businesses, like how we engage with the business problems, that actually brought me brought interest for me for data engineering. So yes, this is how I realized with time that even for supply chain, if I want to go forward, it's actually data, and there is no on the shop floor supply chain. So I realized that if I want to, data engineering could be a very good pathway for me to go even for a supply chain domain thing. So yeah, I realized lately working with Cognizant in projects, like I realized that data engineering can be my thing.
After 2022, Jumana, right, you were on a career break due to some personal reasons. So after that, how did you restart things from the scratch? Because you left your job, you were already working as a data engineering, and every now and then technologies, tech stack are changing very fast in the data engineering. So how did you restart things from the very beginning, from the very scratch? What all important skill sets did you acquire when you again started preparing for the data engineering job? So please share that experience.
So for this, I had left the company, my last company, not because due to personal reasons, but actually I was very well versed. Like I had a very good experience in Cognizant during the projects. So I thought this could be a good time for me to switch to to another company and get a better salary increment. But I had a very bad planning there. Like I left the company and thought of after leaving the company, after fulfilling the notice period, then I'll start learning. But again, I had no plan. And what I was working in Cognizant, that was more on Azure data engineering side. But data engineering encompasses more than that, just a cloud-based platform. Cloud-based is a managed platform, but there is more to data engineering than just that. And I did not knew all this thing. So there were in between, I have a year gap. So there were like personal reasons, like again, many things happened in that year. But most basic issue was actually I had a very lack of planning, and with time I realized that there is a very comprehensive roadmap that one needs to follow to get into data engineering or even to switch. Because again, when you are being interviewed, you will be interviewed on the basics of data engineering, like distributed systems like Hadoop, Hive, these kind of systems, what makes the basis of these Azure or AWS cloud or any cloud platform. These are the basic basis behind these platforms even. So I went to like different learning platforms. I used to go and understand like there is a roadmap, and then it was a learning process, very slow, but yes, this was the thing.
What challenges did you face due to the career break while searching for the new opportunities? Because sometimes companies take it negatively and avoid candidates, their interviews. So how did you actually convince them? And them, I mean, wherever they selected you for the interview, how did you convince them that yes, I can make some impact?
On the individual level, actually, for a very good time, I had like delayed giving interviews. People do you and many people do share, like first give the interviews, then think about like how where do you sit like in that journey. But I was like refraining from giving interviews because I used to think like I am not ready, and that is why this gap like went longer. So this was like first on on the personal level, this was one of the hurdles. Like I had to like give interviews and then understand like where am I sitting as per my preparation. And even for I used to apply to companies because I had a year gap, and people, mostly HRs who used to call, they had read my resume wrong, and they used to think it's not 2022, it must be some 2023. So then when they started used to ask me questions, and then I used to share like, okay, yeah, I have a gap, I'm not working with any company currently. So I think most of the times my resume was not forwarded because of that reason only, because mostly companies like service-based companies, or the companies that go very strict by the number of experience, number of years of experience, or like they do not want to entertain any people with any gap years. So they did not used to forward my even resume. I did not get to have the first round even. And yeah, these were the hurdles. And also while I had a story, like I had some personal reasons, and then I had like misplanning, that because of this the year gap was there. Initially I used to not tell the real story, like I was due to personal reasons, because I used to tell the lies, like this happened, I was learning, and like that stuff. But it used to not sell. People used to not get convinced, like you took 1 year of learning, like that way they were not convinced enough. So, and also for if I used to lie for the first round, then if they are having 3-4 rounds, and I used to lie for every of the rounds and had to bring a new story, like what personal reasons and that stuff. So with time I realized that as I used to give the interviews, I started learning. I realized that I should share the real story, and the companies who are like very culture, that there is a very strong culture behind them, or you can go through the companies like their company pages, when you read the word like mental well-being searching. So it should be a thing that those companies must be focusing on the well-being of their employees. So I am a human, I can have such situations in life. So, and for the BCG, like that way I used to started telling the real story. And when it came to BCG was a very big thing for me. So when it used to, then again I had a question, like again now I have come to the 4th or the 5th round of BCG. Now like this is the main point. The manager round can be very explanative, like why and what and about the gap. It could be a bigger question there. So then I had a talk with Shashank, and it was like he told me like present the real story, don't go haywire like anything, don't bring this new stuff, and like share them, they will understand. These days companies are understanding. So yeah, and I went, though my friends had told me then don't share the true story, like BCG is a big company or any, like don't share the true story, but I went the easy way and shared the real story. So it did sell, and like they were convinced. They okay. He's like they even asked me, "Are you like all right now? So you can like get back onto work?" Yes, I said yes. So was my.
How did you prepare your solid resume and adjusted projects for the data engineering in that? I mean, since you already had some experience at the Cognizant, so those projects were good enough to seek the attention and to get the good interview calls, or you tune your resume to get more and more opportunities, more and more interview calls if you added few new projects? So what were those? How did you do that? And most important part, how did you apply and how did you get the interview calls from these type of companies?
So many things in this one question, and like I have so many points to tell on this even. So for resume building, I have spent enough, very like I can be saying 2-3 months I have spent in creating a good resume, because for me I had already had an experience in Cognizant in data engineering. I had a very good experience, client experience. So it was getting very tough to put all things in one pager, because I realize everybody shares that like one pager resume is the thing. So it used to get very tough for me. So half of the page used to be filled with my experience. So I had a very good experience in Cognizant. So I did those bootcamp kind of projects. Those were like I did not felt the need to put in my resume, because my Cognizant experience was good enough. So yes, but if you are fresher, then those kind of projects do work. Bring a business perspective, put it like a story format, that this is the problem case and then we are solving it through this method, this way, this data engineering tools we can be using, and that way. So for applying for the roles, I have applied on many platforms, but majorly what worked for me was Naukri and LinkedIn. Like there are some InstaHire and an Academy that kind of, they have their own platforms, but what really did work for me was Naukri and LinkedIn. And I have also applied to like majorly very big chunk. I have applied on career pages of the companies itself, either through the LinkedIn used to send me to their career pages, or I used to have like noted down what companies I need to apply to and then apply on the career pages. Like it is a hit and trial method. Like it might work or might not work, but you have to be at it. Like I used to spend honestly like 200 like not 200 but like 15. There was a free thing for Naukri, 15 to 50 resumes you can do. I used to fill those number of applications every day, and on LinkedIn I used to around 150 I used to fill, like anything. I was on it. Some days I used to learn and some days I used to like just apply. So you have to be at it, be at it, like perseverant, like continue doing it, and some things might time. And for BCG as well, I applied through not any referrals, not on LinkedIn, not on Naukri. I applied it through their career page. So I was even shocked. Like I was, I had a call from like 2-3 months after the application, and I was like, yeah, I have applied. What role? Like I had. Yeah, even I did not knew. Yeah, I did not knew. The person was saying like Boston Consulting Group. I was like, yeah, I might have applied to that. So it was like that.
How does a typical interview process of a data engineer look like in consulting firms like BCG? Like what goes behind, how many rounds gonna be there in each round, what the interviewers are going to focus on? If you can share that experience, it would be helpful for them who ever are preparing for such companies.
So I have like for a consulting firm, I have given interview for BCG only, but for data analytics kind of firm, they also have like BCG I had 5 rounds, but for data analytics firms like I have given interview for, they all used to also have 4 rounds at least. So so as the company is bigger or like a bigger brand, and as your package is bigger, like though they might be hiring for a junior role, but if they're offering a good package, then there can be many rounds. So for BCG, I had 3 technical rounds and 1 HR round and 1 manager round. In one of the 3 technical rounds, there was a case interview. So you have to like solve it like in the consulting firms that there are case interviews. So case solutions you have to put forth. So for that data engineering case solution I had to put forth, and then the technical interviews again, there were like one was for covering all the basics and another was like again covering all the basics, but getting more on the first interview was actually having all the elements basics like any of the tools that I had mentioned on my resume, but the second round was more into problem solving ability and the basics, like how strong you are at it.
Was there any specific focus on data structures and algorithm as well, and typical problem solving? Was something like that was asked to you in the interviews? If yes, then what was the level? What sort of questions were there?
I have never been asked for data structures, but only once. Like in one of the interviews, I was asked like time complexity, space complexity, those, and that was the time when I did not knew these kind of terms do exist even. Well, I was so unaware of this world. I was practicing Python, but did not knew like this is a thing. Then okay, this is again a learning phase. So I realized okay, through the interviews only I realized okay, Python is like there is object oriented programming, and then then you can be for the data structures, like you do get through space complexity and time complexity while writing code. So yeah, then I went through that, but never been really asked on such questions. So for data structures and algorithms also, like the problem solving ability for a very basic level, SQL, Python, how we for any small queries we can write, how that kind of problem solving ability is being tested, not any specific like categories.
Since you have interviewed at multiple companies, how's the job market for data engineers in terms of opportunities? Because I get this question very often, specifically from the freshers, that companies don't look at freshers. They are not hiring for the data engineer roles. They always look at the experienced candidates, and experienced candidates says that there are not ample amount of opportunities. So yeah, what's your take on that and what you have observed about it?
I might be like diverging things here, but I've seen like service-based companies go very strictly by the number of years of experience they require. Though your experience must be very relevant, like it can be as relevant for their 10 years experience job role, but they won't take you in. But for some startups or analytics-based firms, or like again consulting firms, or any product based companies, if your experience is very relevant and very good, or either your like freelancing kind of projects are very good, so they can consider you being a fresher. I have seen honestly, I have seen job entries or job applications openings for even 0 to any number of years freshers even. So I think that is a chance for data engineers. But if one is a fresher and trying to get into data engineering, they can do, like, you have to be very focused and like again applying on jobs and everything. So, and as for the market, I had actively started applying for starting August, September. Again, I was not prepared. I used to not feel myself very prepared, but I started applying, giving interviews, and I was like had the same set of skills then as well, though I was practicing more and more with time and getting more and more confidence. But I had the same set of skills. I would say I was not putting in much of the tools and set of things on my resume, because again it gets very tough for yourself only to to have them all things on handy. Like if you will be practicing on SQL, you might be forgetting things on Python. Like it can be like that. So for the job interview, for the job market, starting January, I have seen like massive like job openings for data engineering. Like either my LinkedIn and Naukri is very optimized, but I have seen like enormous. I used to even share my friends who are like, even I belong from mechanical engineering. So many of my friends are still not like have got the job or anything, and or are thinking of transitioning into computer science and not into core. So I think this is a very good time to, if you have not started want to start to learn on data engineering, data analytics, or any kind of thing, and this is a very good time to apply for jobs. Also, starting January, I have seen very good number of openings. Awesome. And actually, I was having there was a time that I did not have being selected in the interviews, and start February I was being selected for 4 to 5 companies, and I had to say no, I'm not taking your second interview round. I'm already very good at now.
Cool. So just last question for this podcast, Jumana. How much growth have you seen in your salary after switching into BCG? Like if you want to compare, as you mentioned, like you started with 4 LPA. So at your experience, how much these consulting companies are paying to the candidates with respect to the compensation or CTC?
So for me, what I left with that last at Cognizant, I have got a 200 plus hike and even more than that. But yes, that was very unexpected, because companies were not even ready to give me for 100% hike, where I was asking for that much, because they're like, you have an year gap and something like that.
Yeah.
But
like lowballing the candidates, that's the usual trick.
Yes. They were doing it very well with me. And I would really say, like if I had not had a year gap, I do really think I could have done more better. But yeah, I would say for even 2 years experience candidate, I can say that one should go for 10 plus LPA, and it can be 20 LPA, a good one. If you are very good, well experienced, and you should leverage your experience through again gaining new set of skills or tools, and learning is a continuous process. I have realized over the time until my last interview, I was going through again those learning videos and everything.
Thank you so much, Jumana. You have shared everything which I believe all of them were looking for. So I hope your experience and whatever valuable insights you shared in this podcast will be really helpful for them. And now they are also very much confident that yet after some year gaps, all those things, they can also start getting into the job. And these things are just a very temporary challenges. So she's the motivation in front of you. So a big thanks from my side and the entire audience, Jumana, that you came and you inspired all our aspiring data engineers.
I'm very glad. I feel like there are many people who might be wanting to switch from core to computer science or any such field, and again some might have not year gap, but a gap of 2-3 months can be very challenging for them. So I hope it helps those people, and yeah, they should. It is about honestly, it is about perseverance. You will feel very demotivated. You will not being selected to one of the interviews. You will feel but you have to be consistent. You have to be at it. Do not leave. I really believe that you will get at the right place.
Absolutely. So this is what I had for all of you in this amazing podcast. I hope you enjoyed Jumana's journey and how she restarted her career after the career gap, and anyone who is in the similar boat, you are also feeling motivated now. If yes, and you find it informative, then make sure to hit the like button, and if you are new to the channel, then smash the subscribe button and press the notification icon. And as I said, don't forget to enroll in basic to advanced data science bootcamp and the Power BI crash course. Link is given in the description. I will see you guys in the next week with another amazing podcast. Till then, just keep exploring data.